Hey, this is Chris. Hope you're doing well, and welcome back to Popcorn Finance, the show where we discuss finance and about the time it takes to make a bag of popcorn. As promised, here is your bonus episode. Earlier this week, I had a great conversation with Andy Phillips, who is a director at the Tax Institute at H&R Block. And we covered a lot of stuff, but not all of it could fit into one episode, at least not without the episode being like 25 minutes long. So I knew I wanted to share a little bit more, specifically this clip that you're going to hear today, because we got into a conversation about some of the things that can cause some serious delays in your tax return, which I know is something that no one wants, especially if you're expecting a refund. So I saved this little clip here that I could share with you all today, and hope it's helpful. You don't need to hear anything else from me. So let's hop into the rest of my conversation with Andy. Is it that prevalent for people to be sending in paper returns still? Because I did that back in the day when I filled out my first ever tax return. I did it by hand on paper and I hated it. And so I stopped immediately. So is that still a thing?
It is. So over 90% of people do file electronically, and it's something like 97% either file using a tax professional that really does the legwork for them, or they use do-it-yourself software like H&R Block has an online do-it-yourself program that folks can use. But either by choice or because they just have some issue, some folks aren't able to or choose not to file electronically. And so certainly those folks are impacted by the IRS backlog. And a big tip I have for today is make sure you file electronically, because that's really going to speed the processing of your tax return. The second thing I'd like to just hit on, kind of a tip for your folks that are tuning in. If your return falls into special processing, meaning the IRS kind of takes it out of the happy path and a human has to look at it, again, you're going to deal with a meaningful delay in the processing of your tax return. The most common reasons you might experience that is you are either claiming the recovery rebate credit for those people that feel like they didn't get all of the stimulus money they were entitled to during 2021. They claim any remaining stimulus money as a recovery rebate credit. Well, as part of that process, you have to accurately report what you got during the year in, kind of that third stimulus round of payments. And if you don't do that, you're going to fall into special processing. Likewise, if you're claiming the child tax credit and you don't properly report the amount of child tax credit payments you got as an advance during the second half of 2021, your return is immediately going to fall out into special processing at the IRS. Two things. One, it's going to delay you're receiving that tax refund, which for some folks, that can cause economic hardships. So that's really important. And then two, you may find that you're getting less refund than you expected or that you claimed on your tax return because you didn't report all those advance payments properly. And so big tip there, make sure you get it right to avoid delays and the unwanted surprise of a reduced tax refund.
Big thanks again to Andy for joining me here on the podcast. And if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, I really need to get started on my taxes, head to popcornfinance.com/HRBlock to get 20% off your tax filing. And so not only will you get a discount, you'll also help support what I do here on the podcast. And if you want to hear our full conversation, even some parts that didn't make it into either of the two episodes this week, you can come join me over on YouTube. There will be a link in the show notes where you can just hop over to that video and you get to see us not quite in person, but in video format while we have this really great conversation. I'm planning to do more on YouTube this year, so come on over, join me, subscribe to the Popcorn Finance YouTube channel, and you can come along with me on this journey and get some new content in a different format than I usually do here on the podcast. As always, I appreciate you joining me here for another bag of popcorn, your second bag this week. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, boy, keep it poppin' like Mary Poppins.